So today in our discussion overview, we're going to be talking about calculating your net income, tracking your spending, which most of us have a pretty bad habit of not doing, set realistic goals, make a plan, your wants versus your needs and the true meaning of each of those, adjust your spending to stay on budget, and review your budget regularly.
All right. A debt problem is at its core a budgeting problem. Does anybody want to explain what that means to you?
When you owe more than what you make.
That makes sense, yeah. So yeah, if you do not budget properly, you may go into debt. A survey conducted by the Harris Poll on March 31st through April 4th, 2023 stated that more than 2,000 US adults ages 18 plus found that around 74% of Americans have a monthly budget. So we need to up those numbers. So where do I begin? So calculating your net income. So gross pay is the money an employee receives before taxes and deductions. So these deductions include federal tax, which goes towards defense and security, Oklahoma tax that goes towards education, transportation, and roadways, Social Security tax to help fund retirement, and Medicare that helps our elders with their health expenses. So net pay is also known as take-home pay, is money received after the taxes and deductions. So that's the amount you actually receive deposited into your account. Does anybody have any questions so far? Any questions in the chat? All right.
So our next part is tracking your spending. Does anyone currently use anything to track your spending? Yeah, all right. What do you guys use if you don't mind sharing? Very good, very good. Online banking?
Yes.
All right, well, that's great if you're watching what things are coming through. But as we all know, do things always come through right away? Absolutely not. So that's why it makes it very important to make sure that we're using something like an Excel spreadsheet. On our online banking, we do have additional items that you can utilize. Even if you break out the old school checkbook register and keeping track of those things. So that way you understand and know exactly what you have at that time. What does this do? It helps you figure it out. So that way you can figure out where to save money, where you're spending it, and you probably shouldn't need to be. List your fixed expenses, your monthly bills, so the things that don't change, such as your rent, your mortgage, utilities, your car payments, your credit card payments. Sometimes those may fluctuate, but most of the time they stay pretty close to what you spend every month on those. List your variable expenses. So other expenses that vary could be groceries, gas, entertainment. I know at my house, groceries fluctuate very much so, depend upon what I purchase for my family to eat. And this time now, the grocery cost now versus a year ago is substantially different, isn't it? Yeah. So if we aren't making sure that we're keeping lists of those things and budgeting properly, you can really hurt yourself, especially if you go to the grocery store hungry. Because you're going to buy all the junk stuff that you really don't need versus the things that you should need or need. Also, your entertainment, making those decisions as to, do I really need to go to the movies this weekend, or can I put that monies towards something else to pay it off, such as your credit card bills? Making those adult decisions that we all don't really want to do, but in order to get financially stable, you're going to have to do so. And where to start? Check your credit card or your bank statements. They often itemize or categorize your monthly spendings, and making sure that you're going through there to see what you can cut out in substitution. Any questions from you guys? Comments? No? Anything from chat? All right.
All right, so setting realistic goals. So I know setting realistic goals can be hard, but here's a way to start. So you can determine if your goal is going to be a short-term or a long-term goal. So a short term could include like a year to 3 years, like setting up an emergency fund or paying down that high credit card. With long term, that can take decades, like saving for retirement, your child's education, or if you're looking to purchase a home. You'll want to start saving for the down payment as well for the additional costs that come along with doing that. So, does anybody have any questions or comments about setting financial goals?
Now, one thing I would like to mention is not everyone's short-term goal and long-term goals are going to look the same. Depending upon what stage in life that you're in currently, your goals may not be to buy a home. Your goals may be to have everything paid off so that way you can live in your later lives comfortably. Yeah, your short-term goals could be, I might want to buy a big screen TV, in 6 months. So I want to save toward doing that. Or I may want to be able to purchase a home to where I'm going to have 10, anywhere from 3 to 20% down for that. So that would be your long-term goal. Does that make sense? Okay. Back to making a plan. So verify what you are actually spending versus what you want to spend. There's a big difference between those two things. Use the variable and fixed expenses you compile to estimate what you will spend in the coming months. Compare that to your net income, so what you actually bring home to purchase your groceries or to pay your bills. And prioritizing, that's a huge thing as well that we all forget to do, is putting what we have to pay and should be paying first and put our wants in front of those things. And then consider setting specific and realistic spending limits for each category of expenses. No one knows you like you do. So making sure you're setting realistic goals and putting those into your categories as you would, not your friend or someone else, but realistically what you can do and what you know that you're going to be disciplined to do. Otherwise, it will not work and you'll give up. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any questions so far? No? All right. The biggest thing too with your number 4 is do not overspend. Do not overspend. And if you make your goals and your spreadsheets correctly, you won't. As long as you're disciplined.
So I have personally a problem with buying things in the moment that I feel I can afford them.
Mm-hmm.
What are some, you guys have any like recommendations or like techniques to mitigate that just a little bit? Like I know it's like maybe like it's dependent on oneself to control that. Like, I guess what I'm asking is, how could I have that feeling dissipate? Because I'm like, I know if I get this, I'm gonna be struggling later, but I really want it. I think I can get it now. I'll go ahead and get it, and then the struggle part comes later.
So
how can we navigate around that? I'm sure I'm not the only one.
You're not. That's human nature as well. As I want it now, and I have a little bit extra money, I'm going to go ahead and pay that, and I'll figure out how to pay my bill later, right? So I'm glad that you're here, Dom. Very glad that you're here, because I'm thankful and thank you very much for sharing that. What he's asked us, for those that are on Zoom, is how do I not make impulse buys? Exactly. The big thing is make you a plan, make you a budget. If it's in your bucket for your wants your wants, and you have enough in that want this week to buy it, then buy it. If you don't, then put it into your next week's or your next bi-weekly pay, and don't go to the movies or don't go out to eat as much, so that way you can go to purchase that thing.
Prioritizing your expenses.
Yes. We have a question on Zoom? No? Just a question?
So is it easier for people to basically do weekly budgets if they're living paycheck to paycheck, or a monthly budget?
I would suggest do it however they get paid. If you get paid bi-weekly, because you may have a week to where if you do get paid bi-weekly, maybe you're sick or gone from work 1 week. So your pay is not the same as what it was the 2 weeks before. So I would suggest to do it however your pay falls, so that way you can adequately figure what you're going to be making. Yes, ma'am.
We have a Zoom question. What about adding it to credit cards and paying it later? What would you suggest? Oh, and how do you prevent these thoughts and options so you don't get into credit card debt?
Very good question. Again, that it comes back to being disciplined. So the question for everyone that cannot hear was, how do I not just put it on my credit card and pay it back later and overcome those wants? If you do, you put it on your credit card, making sure that you're disciplined enough to pay it off before the end of that month, so that way you're not paying so much interest on it. However, you have to start with yourself. Even a plan is not going to fix your bad habits. It will help to begin structurally making good habits, good spending habits. But once you make the plan and you don't go to the store with those credit cards. So that way you don't have those impulse buys. Leave those things at home.
You can also use that for a financial goal. If it's something you really want, set that as your goal and make that your focus. And if you have other things that pop up, like, oh, I want to go buy this, focus on your goal. Like, go back to think, well, is this going to affect me reaching my financial goal? Like, that's something you can keep in mind to try to navigate your mindset to, like, I want to focus on this instead of overspending or going off the cuff and like just impulse. Yeah, it is. You gotta fight the angel and devil. You want and need angel and devil over there.
Just think of me on your shoulder saying, do not do that, Dom. Good. And if not, give me a call. I'll be there for you.
Which takes us into wants versus needs. So, what do you guys think is a want and a need? Want. What do you think is a want? Food? That's also a need. A need would be food.
But eating out?
Yeah, eating
for
out.
the food instead of cooking at home.
Yeah.
For specific things.
Yes. So I had a child at one of my seminars I did that was convinced that video games was a need. I had to convince him. I said, I know you think you need it, but that's a want. Mm-hmm.
Very much so.
New shoes. You do need shoes, but you gotta, do you need that new name brand, or do you just need something to cover your feet so you can, Okay, so wants are expenses you can comfortably afford or live without, like vacations, new vehicles, the latest mobile phone, and going out every weekend. And eating at restaurants. Like, you could definitely save a lot of money if you start purchasing your groceries and making food at home than constantly going out, because that starts to add up over time. And then needs are expenses needed to survive, like groceries, as we need to eat, clothing, we need something to wear, utility bills, we got to keep our electricity on, our water, like every basic need that you need to survive, we need to make sure that those bills are being paid before everything else. And home, like rent or mortgage, because you need somewhere to live.
One more.
And transportation, because that's super important in this day and age. Getting anywhere, you take a bus. If you're purchasing your own vehicle, there's all kinds of expenses that come along with that. Like, you have to factor in the gas, the car insurance. There's just so many factors that come into play with your needs.
A question from you?
Okay.
Yes.
Or it's more of, I would say, I don't know. So she asked, what about for parents, sports costs for children?
So that is something, if you know, so the question was, what about for sports when your children are going to be playing sports? How do you figure that in? That's also going to be into your budget. If you know that your kids play a specific sport every year, you know roundabout what it's going to cost. You're going to need to prepare yourself for that. and put it into your budget when that time is coming, or even before, so that way you can put it into a savings account to have it for that time. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
One thing they didn't mention is medication.
Oh,
Those are
yeah.
very much in need, and a lot of people don't get them because they have a hard time with what they get, with what they have.
Absolutely. Medications and Medicare just doesn't pay for a whole lot of it.
Exactly.
And that donut hole you fall into, then you're out of pocket for the rest of that.
Yeah.
And that definitely can take a
And then
damper.
that's because a lot of elderly people don't take their medication because
They can't afford it.
Bills,
Yeah.
they can't afford their medication. That's really tough.
That,
is.
yes, yes,
It's not a budget. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
absolutely. It can be
Honestly.
definitely frustrating.
Mhm.
Question?
So back to the parents and sports costs, do you think that would be more of a need or a want? This is just an opinion, you know,
Yeah.
so,
And that was what? I'm sorry? Just a need or a want
need
for
or
that?
want for the sports.
That, if they're going to play sports and that's something that you put your children in every year, I would put that in as your need. Because they're going to need new cleats for that year. And we know how children grow. I know my boys grow a shoe size about every 6 months. So you have to prepare yourself as to how those children are growing and what all supplies that you're going to need for that, and budget for it.
But if the budget doesn't permit, I was just.
Then if the budget's not permitting, then you need to cut. If you want your child to play that, you're gonna have to make sacrifices as the parent for your entertainment type stuff, and take from your entertainment and put toward the other items that you're going to need. Is that good? Okay. So adjust your spending to stay on budget. Make any necessary changes and adjustments that you need so you do not overspend. Yeah. That way you are able to have that extra money to put toward your goals, such as paying credit cards off, being able to purchase new rims or tires for your vehicle, to buy those tennis shoes that you want because you don't need them. If you're on a fixed income, that could be a little bit difficult at times, but cutting out the things like going to go and get coffee at Starbucks. Maybe buying the coffee at home and making it yourself. Instead of paying $7 for a cup, you're paying $1 for the cup, if that. Same thing with sodas and different drinks. Go to the store, buy it in bulk, bring it home and make it. You have to make sacrifices when you're trying to live on your budget, and so that way for your financial success in the end, those are the big choices that we have to make. And each month or each week or bi-weekly, however you're going to do your budget, can change. If we know we're going to need a specific medication that costs $300 or $400 out of pocket, I know my family eating out, we spend about $150 easily a week if we go to eat out. So just minimizing those things that will give me that extra money and that peace of mind, so I can afford those things that I'm going to need. And then again, deciding how you want to do your own budget. Your biweekly, 6 months, a year, it's up to you, whatever works best for you. There's nothing set in stone on how you have to do it. Yes, sir.
You recommend tools or resources that you can use to budget with? So like maybe an app or something on the internet, or just like write down on paper? What are some that we can use to keep track of our budget?
So I actually have some resources in the documentation for links to, there's one that's on our site for a fillable budget sheet. Also, there is this debt website that I'll go more into at the end as well, that can help you input that information, as well as there is Money Manager in our online banking. If you're a member with us, you could take advantage of that, and it categorizes your expenses, and then you can also, there's a tab in there to help you with budgeting as well.
And what was the name of that? The document.
So it's in your folder. It's the one that says,
And within your online banking as well.
Oh, okay.
there you go. Yeah, those are all the links to some helpful resources that you can take advantage of. Yes.
It's a real eye opener too when you use some of those things
Yes.
that show you and categorize things for you.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions that we have on Zoom? Nothing? Okay.
Oh, hold on. With Money Manager, do you know if it links to other accounts or only to FSFCU?
It does. It links to your other accounts. You have to put that information in. Oh,
Money Manager?
Money Manager. Yes. Which Brett can help if you need additional. Brett is our guru in that. Okay, so you want to review your budget regularly because your budget will change on a regular basis sometimes. Like things that happen in your life, you may get a raise or an expense might change. Like if your electric bill in the summertime is like outrageous, and then in the wintertime it might start to go down if you have a gas bill. So those are things that you want to look at adjusting throughout the year. So also, if you reach one of your financial goals, you get to celebrate and then you want to think of something else that you want to put that money towards. Like, let's say you do reach a goal and then you have some debt you want to pay down. You can shift that goal over to that and use the money you were saving for that specific goal and shift it over to paying down those debts. So those are scenarios that you should be thinking about and reviewing your budget regularly for. Anybody have any questions, comments?
All right, so another way that you can look at minimizing your debt is by doing a consolidation. We do offer consolidation loans here at our credit union. There are a couple different ways to do so, depend upon the individual and how they want to do that. So this is an example. We have 6 different loan types, and then we have their rates, what this individual's balances are on each one of those credit cards. And as you can see, some of these are 30% interest. That's super duper high, but that is what the majority of our store credit cards are. They entice you to sign up for. So you get 5% off of your purchase today. So being able to be disciplined enough to say, no, I'm okay. So that way we don't abuse that as well. Here is what their monthly payment would be on those cards. This column here is interest paid over 3 years of time. And then this column here is total paid after 3 years. So I'm going to want to look at what this Dillard's card is. So it's at 30.24%. They have a $500 balance on that. Their monthly payment is $21.29. The interest that they're going to pay on that $500 is $266.50, which goes into Dillard's pocket for you borrowing their money, which in return, you'll be paying back $766.50 for that specific card. That's a lot of money to throw in the trash, isn't it? To where you could have saved that in a savings for an accidental something that you need that money for. And so here we can see that this whole column, they paid $1,699.19 in interest with all 6 of their credit cards that they had. Over the 3 years, they've paid back $6,698.74 on a balance of $5,000 accumulated of all of their cards. Big thing. It's almost $1,700 to throw in the trash. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot afford to throw that in the trash at all. So what I could do is, if I am that person, I have 6 of those, I need to look at consolidating them all into one. Instead of paying all of these different percentages, I would like to pay 1% versus all of those. Makes sense, right? So here at the credit union, you could either do a personal loan or you could do a credit card loan to consolidate. Depend upon what your debt to income ratios are, what your credit scores and things look like. We could possibly do one of these types of loans for you. So our lowest rate is 10%. So on a $5,000 personal loan, you're going to pay $161.55 a month. At our highest rate at 18%, you'd pay $180.76 a month. Here, and versus your monthly payment for all of these of $182.58. Our interest for our lowest rate is $815.70 over 3 years. Or at the highest rate is $1,507.43. Still less than what this one is accumulated of all of those. Here for our total paid, we have $5,815.70, $6,507.43 over the lifetime of for the 3 years of those loans. I could potentially save $883.04 if I was able to consolidate at a 10% rate, or $191.31 if I were to do at a highest rate, if my credit wasn't the top tiers. A lot of money there to save, isn't there? Every penny counts towards your budget. Every penny. Question?
Question on Zoom says, will doing consolidation affect your credit score negatively or positively?
So the question with the credit, doing a consolidation, will it affect you positively or negatively? It will depend. Because when your credit score is made up of, one of the pieces of that is your longest line of credit. Open credit. So if you were to close that, then yes, it could be detrimental to your credit. But if you are consolidating, it should be helpful in the long run for you. We also have credit cards. These are based on a 5-year term. We have our Visa Classic and our Visa Gold. Those are both non-variable rates, meaning that the rates will not change during the lifetime of the card. We all get those credit cards in the mail if you pay $50 or $49 a month, that you can have a $500 or $5,000 limit. My suggestion to you is, if you have to pay to have a credit card, throw it in the trash and do not apply for it. You should not have to pay to have a credit card.
You know, that advice stuck with me ever since I was a trainer.
Good.
You know,
Yeah, that's
you know, like if you gotta pay an annual fee for a credit card, you don't need that debit card. You don't need that credit
That's right.
card. I didn't know that.
Good.
And those ones you receive in the mail, if you've ever looked at the rates on them, sometimes I've seen them at 100%. And I'm like, how is this legal?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
yeah, they're predatory lending.
Yep.
They take
Yep.
advantage.
Big, yeah. The predatory lending is a downfall for a lot of the citizens, to go because I need money right now. And I know if I walk in there, they're going to give me a loan for $1,500. I don't care as long as I have that money when I walk away. What they don't realize is that it's at a 300% interest rate. So I'm going to pay back 3 times what I just borrowed. And then once that loan starts to get paid down, guess what kind of phone call you get from them?
Hey, you got some more for you.
Yeah, you have a credit line up to $1,500. I can go ahead and advance you an extra $900 since you're down to $100. And then they do it over again. So with these again are not, they're not 300% or anywhere near that. And not just here at our credit union, so any of those people that are watching, if you do not bank with us, check out your financial institutions, because there are options everywhere for credit cards. Or you can come and see us. We'd be more than happy to help you to get your finances on the right path. Back to our credit cards. If you were to do our gold, which is at 11.9%, you would save potentially $728.76 over 3 years, or $677.09 by doing our Visa Classic at 12.5%. Yes, sir.
Are any of those cards like cash back?
You can do cash back with them. We also have a rewards program that goes along with our credit cards, to where you earn 1 point for every $1. I myself am an avid user of it, and I have been able to build 3 decks around my house and my swimming pool and things for free by just using my credit card, paying it off once those charges post, and then cashing my points in and purchasing gift cards for that, and then I'm able to go down to the hardware store to purchase those items. You're very welcome.
It's definitely worth doing too, because I cash out on two advanced auto card gift cards. I need rollers, man. So
They recently added where you can use your Amazon to make purchases. If your credit card's connected and you have your You Choose points, it turns into dollars, and you can use it on Amazon as well as PayPal. So
Yeah.
it's very awesome.
And we all love Amazon.
Yes, I've used it for Amazon. I've used it for PayPal.
But we do not do impulse buying on there, right?
Right to your door in 2 days.
Do you guys have any questions in regards to doing any type of a consolidation loan? Anything on Zoom? No? All right, then we'll move on.
So, as we've learned, budgeting requires discipline. So we have some awesome resources you guys can take advantage. I love Bonsai. We partner with them to provide free financial education to our community. There's online courses, articles, coaches, and calculators that you all can take advantage of. And I highly recommend it because it's over any kind of financial topic you can think of. They have the resources on their site. And then the budgeting sheet I was telling you about, this is where you can find that fillable PDF where you can input your own budget information. And then we also partner with GreenPath. They provide free financial counseling. The only thing that there is a charge for is they have a debt management plan. If you're struggling with the amount of debt you have, this is also an option where they will actually contact the creditors to try to get a lower rate and reduce your payment amount. And that's why there's a fee, because the GreenPath does the legwork for you. And they will help try to keep you on track to reach your financial goals. And then there's this debt elimination website tool. You can put in all your debt information. It can help guide you through what you need to do to be able to pay off your debts. And just keeping track of your bills and spending using a spreadsheet, downloading an app. It's just any kind of way that you feel comfortable doing, even pen and paper. Whatever you're comfortable with is what you should do whenever you're budgeting.
And I would like to mention, when you are filling out a budget itself, when you're putting in all of your spending and all of that, at the very end, if you have money left over in that bottom bucket, take that money and you need to rework it and put it into your savings account. Always pay yourself first. Okay?
We do both.
Good.
Yes.
Great to hear.
That's the first thing. I got a set amount, $500 brought up tacos in our savings. And then after end of the month, whatever I have left over goes to savings.
Very good.
That's
Very
perfect.
good. Because we never know when those uh-oh moments happen,
Yes.
right?
Like I had an emergency.
Very good.
Some uh-oh moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved into my home and a year later, the front pipe busted into my house. And that was like about $900. And thankfully I had money in my emergency savings to cover that. So you never know, life just hits you when you're gonna need those funds. So, yeah, I think the next slide is, anybody have any more questions, comments? Anybody in the chat? Nope. All right. Well, we really appreciate you guys coming today and being able to provide this information to you guys. If you don't mind, there's a survey on the tables for the people in person, and there will be a link in the chat. If you guys could fill out that survey, we would really appreciate it. Just let us know how we're doing today. And if you want to stay tuned, we'll be having somebody come in June to do a small business seminar. And they'll be in the community room as well.
So we will be holding different seminars throughout the year, each quarter. So definitely watch our social media sites for all of our website for those upcoming classes. And email blast to emails to you. Don't just trash them, please.
Yes.
We appreciate and we thank you guys for joining us here in Branch and also on Zoom. We really appreciate you guys, and we hope you have a great afternoon and enjoy your weekend.